Hi, everyone. Welcome to A Happy Life. I am Dr. Joshua Swift, professor of psychology at Idaho State University, licensed clinical psychologist, and author of Becoming Happy, a guide to self-care and holistic well-being. On today's episode, we are going to talk about nutrition and whether or not the food that we choose to eat has an impact on our short and long-term happiness. But before we get started, let me just remind you to hit subscribe or follow below so you never miss any of our future episodes. And please share with others. Now, personally, food does bring me a lot of happiness. I love to try new foods when I travel, and sitting down with my family to eat breakfast or dinner is always a highlight of my day. Many of my fondest and strongest memories have some connection to food. My favorite foods are pizza and chocolate chip cookies. My wife is an expert at homemade pizza, which we have together every Friday night. And I never get tired of it. In fact, this past year, I had the opportunity to travel to Italy twice, once for work and once for a family vacation. I ate pizza or a calzone every single day while I was there, and I was still wanting more. And chocolate chip cookies are my ideal dessert. Whether it is after a long day or for some type of celebration, chocolate chip cookies are my comfort food. Now, whether it is pizza, chocolate chip cookies, or something else, we can all probably identify a few foods that we would say bring us personal joy, comfort, and happiness. There is no doubt that food is rewarding. Comfort foods in particular provide our brains with a hit of our pleasure hormone, dopamine, which we will talk more about later in this episode. And through classical conditioning, certain foods become associated with happiness through a lifetime of pairing with happy events. Think parties, holidays, family get togethers, and other celebrations. But when we think about foods that bring us comfort and happiness, they are often foods that we would consider to be unhealthy. Foods high in sugar, carbs, and unhealthy fats. Does this type of food bring us true happiness? And can making healthier food choices improve our mood and mental well-being? We will address these questions and more as we talk about nutrition and happiness on today's episode. Let me start by recognizing that the topic of nutrition is an entire discipline in and of itself. Hundreds of thousands of scientific papers have been written on the topic, and thousands of podcasts have been given. In no way are we going to attempt to review even a small portion of everything there is to know about nutrition in this episode. I will also say that there is not universal agreement on what constitutes as good nutrition. Different fad diets are being suggested all of the time, some by experts in nutrition, and others by individuals with no education or training in nutritional sciences. And even within the discipline, we hear about changes from one year to the next concerning which foods are thought to be healthy or good for us and which are not. Now, this may lead some to question the field and wonder if we should pay attention to what we eat at all. I believe this would be a mistake. Although there is a lot of misinformation out there, there's also a lot of good science. And every scientific discipline sees changes as researchers seek to refine and improve on existing knowledge. If we follow good evidence-based nutritional advice, we will see many physical and mental health benefits in our lives. And in this episode, I'm going to focus on some of the benefits that nutrition and healthy eating can have on our levels of happiness. I want to start with a conversation about weight or body composition. Several studies have shown a significant negative correlation between body mass index, a ratio of weight to height, and happiness. Specifically, higher body mass index values are linked to lower levels of happiness, particularly in women. Similarly, differences in happiness have been seen between overweight individuals and those who are not overweight. However, it's important to note that these are general trends, and studies have shown that there are many overweight individuals who are happy, and many individuals who are not overweight who are not happy. Research has shown that those with very low BMI values, especially in a range that is consistent with anorexia, also experience less happiness than those with BMI values in the normal range. So, when thinking about the relationship between weight and happiness, we see an inverted U-shaped pattern, where those in the middle of the weight spectrum tend to see the most happiness in their lives. Now, given this inverted U pattern, it's clear that weight in and of itself is not the variable that is explaining happiness. So, what is it then? Well, a recent comparative study that was conducted in both the US and China shed some light on this question. For this study, happiness and BMI were assessed in over 6,000 individuals. In the participants from the US, the relationship between weight and happiness was minimal, but there was some evidence that the heavier one was, the less happy they also were. Now, the authors recognize that findings from several other studies in the US have shown more strongly that overweight individuals tend to be less happy than normal weight ones. In contrast, though, in China, the overweight participants were happier than the normal weight ones. And the researchers suggested that the differences between the US and China are likely due to cultural perceptions of being overweight. In the US, obesity is often stigmatized, whereas in China, it is considered a sign of prosperity. So that seems to be the key. It's not that weight causes happiness or a lack thereof, but instead perceptions of weight or body image are at least partially explaining whether or not people are happy. Further supporting this, additional studies have shown that in the US, individuals who are very underweight and those who are overweight think about body image and experience body dissatisfaction more than those who are of a normal weight. And the focus on body image has been linked to lower levels of happiness and overall well being. Research has even shown that when overweight individuals lose weight, their happiness levels only improve if they also change their focus on body image. So, if you want happiness, don't just assume that losing weight will bring it. Instead, a change in focus on body image needs to occur. And many have suggested that we address this at the societal level by confronting weight-related stigma, prejudices, and discrimination within our country. So, happiness isn't explained by weight alone. But what is the relationship between happiness and, say, nutritious eating or making healthy food choices? Well, several studies have shown that high caloric foods, such as sweets, lead to a spike in dopamine in the brain. Now, I mentioned this at the start of the episode today. Dopamine is considered the happy, pleasure, or reward hormone. So we often experience an immediate positive mood when eating these foods. It is similar to the spike that is seen from many illicit drugs, such as heroin, just not nearly as strong. But just like illicit drugs, the high caused by high caloric food is only temporary. And when the dopamine is depleted, our mood drops and we crave more. In contrast, eating fruits and vegetables has been shown to have just as much immediate positive impact on mood as sweets and other high caloric foods, but without the same level of spike and depletion of dopamine in our brains. In that way, healthy food choices can lead to both immediate and long-term impacts on our happiness. Let me share about a couple of studies that have shown these effects. In one study that examined the immediate positive impact, the researchers had participants record in the moment each time they ate for 8 days. They were to record on their phones what they ate, how tasty it was, how much they enjoyed it, and how pleased they were with it. And across those 8 days, in the moment eating happiness did not differ significantly between the unhealthy food choices, so things such as sweets, salty extras, and pastries, and the healthy ones, things such as vegetables, fruits, and eggs. And when factoring in the amount eaten, as well as the happiness it provided, fruits and vegetables contributed the most to total eating happiness, followed by grain products, and then unhealthy snacks. So eating healthy can lead to immediate happiness, at least as well as unhealthy eating can. In a study examining the long-term impact of healthy eating choices, researchers reviewed food diaries of over 12,000 Australian adults. And they found that eating fruits and vegetables at time one predicted happiness, life satisfaction, and well-being 2 years later. And when someone increased their fruit and vegetable consumption over the 2-year period, happiness increased even more. So given the longitudinal nature of both of these studies, the evidence of the relationship between healthy eating and happiness is clear. These studies show that not only are healthy eaters happier than non-healthy eaters, but those who improve their healthy eating will, in turn, experience increased happiness. In addition to the happiness benefits that can come from eating more fruits and vegetables, drinking more water can also have a positive impact on one's mood. A couple of years back, a survey study was conducted with 2,000 US adults. These adults were asked to report on how much water they drink per day and how happy they are. On average, the participants said that they drank 5 8-ounce glasses of water per day, which they thought was the recommended amount. Now, just a quick side, the recommended amount is really at least 64 ounces. Importantly, the more water one drank in that study, the happier they reported they were. While only 12% of those who drank 1 glass of water per day rated themselves as being very happy, 34% of those who drank 2 glasses, 45% of those who drank 4 glasses, and 80% of those who drank 10 or more glasses indicated that they were very happy. Now, while these results should be considered with caution given the simple nature of the survey, similar mood benefits for drinking more water have been noted in several other studies. It is thought that being adequately hydrated provides your body with more energy and improves the effectiveness of your brain's use of some of the happy hormones, including dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins. So, we've spoken about the happiness benefits from eating fruits and vegetables and drinking an adequate amount of water. But overall, what counts as nutritious eating? Well, it is usually not found by following fad or extreme diets. These type of flashy diets can sometimes lead to quick weight loss, but they are often not considered nutritious. They're also difficult to maintain, and the weight usually returns. And following them has actually been shown to lead to lower self confidence and a higher risk of depression. What is common in many fad diets are nutritional deficiencies. So instead, most nutritionists recommend a balanced diet, something similar to the USDA My Plate. Now, that resource is not perfect. Many nutritionists have recommended tweaks to it, but it does give the right general idea about how to approach eating in a balanced way. And I really like the healthy eating plate that has come out of the Harvard School of Public Health. They recommend thinking about our food choices based on the proportions of a plate that we should give to various food categories. This provides a good visual for each meal that we eat, but also a reference for our food intake throughout the day. They recommend that about half of the plate be fruits and vegetables, with a bigger portion of that half going to vegetables and aiming for a variety of colors in these foods. They specifically note that potatoes, one of the most popular side dishes in America, do not count as a vegetable. Instead, given their nutritional makeup, they seem to be more similar to the next category, grains. The healthy eating plate recommends that about 1/4 of the plate should be grains. And not just any grains, but whole grains like oats, brown rice, and whole wheat, rather than white bread or white rice. Another 1/4 of the plate is recommended to be healthy proteins, such as fish, chicken, and beans. Finally, this should be paired with some healthy oils in moderation and plenty of water. Another way to think about a balanced diet is to consider macronutrients. These are proteins, carbs, and fats, which make up all of the calories in the food that we eat. 1 gram of protein equals 4 calories. 1 gram of carbs also equals 4 calories, but 1 gram of fat equals 9 calories. And for the average person, it is recommended that 45 to 65% of one's daily calories should come from healthy carbs. Again, things like fruits and vegetables are preferred. 10 to 35% from healthy proteins, chicken, Greek yogurt, beans, lean beef, eggs, and fish. And 20 to 35% from healthy oils, things like nuts, seeds, and again, eggs and fatty fish. Now, not only does what you eat have an impact on your happiness, how you eat it is also important. Recent years have seen an increase in a discussion of mindful eating. Mindful eating refers to being aware and present of the eating process and experience. Now, examples of mindful eating include taking your time when you eat and focusing on tasting and appreciating your food. It also includes being aware of your physical cues of hunger and the sensations you experience when you eat. And examples of unmindful eating include eating while watching TV or some other activity, eating while stressed, rushing through a meal, and not realizing how much you have eaten. Although the body of research on the relationship between mindful eating and happiness is relatively small, the studies that are out there indicate that the more present and aware one is while eating, the happier one also is in life. So, how does one eat mindfully? Well, Dr. Lillian Chung, the director of mindfulness research and practice in the Department of Nutrition at Harvard, offered the following 7 suggestions. Honor the food by acknowledging where it came from and who prepared the meal. Engage all senses when eating. Eat modest portions during meals. Savor small bites and chew thoroughly. Eat slowly. Don't skip meals. And eat a plant-based diet. Now, while the exact food type and amount recommendations may differ from one person to the next, depending on body size and diet preferences. Implementing several of these steps can lead to a healthier and happier relationship with food. So, from our conversation so far, perhaps you have some ideas in mind for changes you would like to make to your eating. Let me finish our episode today with 3 more recommendations that can help when desiring to form new nutritional habits. First, one interesting study that included survey data from nearly 3,000 people suggested that our food choices are determined first by taste, then by cost, followed by nutrition, and then convenience, and very last, weight control. So, as you seek to make changes in your food choices, you may want to keep this ordered list in mind. So, let's say that you want to eat healthier. So, you go out shopping one day and you spend extra money to buy foods that you think are going to be healthy for you. But you don't really like the taste of those foods at all. Now, given the sacrifice in cost and taste, the 2 highest predictors of food choices, this type of change will likely not last long. Instead, if you are wanting to target nutrition more, you will have the most success if you can find healthy and nutritious foods that are cheaper and taste good to you. This might take a little more effort, but once you put in the effort to figure out what some of those foods are, you will be able to come up with an eating plan that you can continue with throughout your life. Second, as you seek to improve your nutritional health, it is important to focus on the basics and take it one step at a time. Research suggests that the average weight loss attempt for women only lasts 4 weeks, and for men, only 6 weeks. And the stricter the diet is, the shorter amount of time someone will stay on it. This is often because when dieting, people often attempt to make major changes all at once in an effort to lose weight fast. But in terms of our happiness, we want to focus on building nutritional habits that will last a lifetime. In order to do this, we can apply the principle of incremental gains. So start with just one meal or one particular food and make a small, healthy change to that. Then, when you're used to that change, add another small change and get used to it. Then another, and so on. As you make small changes and give your body and mind time to adapt. Let me give a personal example of this. Now, growing up, I hardly ever ate oatmeal, at least that I can remember. When I did, it was the packaged kind that is loaded with sugar. A few years back, I decided that I wanted to include oatmeal in my diet. Oats are a whole grain, and oatmeal has been shown to have numerous heart-healthy benefits. But as I looked into the oatmeal packets, I discovered most of them are no better than the super sugary boxed cereals. So I tried completely plain oatmeal. I boiled it up with a pinch of salt, and when I took my first bite, I knew I had gone too far. So instead, I added some brown sugar to it, and then it wasn't too bad. After a while of eating it that way, I cut the brown sugar in half, and I really didn't notice much of a difference. It was still yummy to me. I let another long period of time pass, and then I cut the sugar in half again. And I found that I enjoyed it just as much. Then, after some time of getting used to that, I cut out the sugar completely and just added a cut up apple or banana instead. And that was perfectly fine. By making small gains, I took processed sugar completely out of my oatmeal. And I love it just as much as the super sugary version that I started with. And the principle of small incremental gains can be applied to any nutritional eating choice. Let's say you want to drink more water. You currently drink about 2 glasses a day, maybe one with breakfast and one with dinner. And you'd like to get up to 8 glasses. If you just jump in tomorrow trying to drink 8 glasses, this healthy change might not last because it's just a challenge. And once you get tired of the challenge or busy with other things, it will be hard to remember to drink more water. Instead, just work on going from 2 to 3 glasses of water a day. Maybe place a glass on your nightstand and drink it first thing in the morning in addition to your other 2 glasses. Work on that for a couple of weeks until it becomes natural. Then move up to 4 glasses. Perhaps like add a glass with lunch and work to make that a habit. Then, when you are ready, bump it up to 5, 6, 7, and eventually 8 glasses of water. Each time, just think of the easiest way to add one more glass to your schedule. Now, going slow may take you much longer to get to 8 glasses, maybe 3 months instead of overnight. But you have built a habit of it, and you'll be able to, or much more likely to be able to stick with the 8 glasses for the rest of your life. Last, remember the end goal. Eat right to be healthy and happy, not to achieve a certain body image. As I mentioned earlier in the podcast today, focusing on body image leads to dissatisfaction and depression, no matter what your weight might be. Well, thank you for joining us today on A Happy Life. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you haven't done so already, please hit subscribe or follow below to receive notification for all of our future episodes. You can also listen to past episodes by visiting our YouTube channel, which is linked below. And as always, please feel free to submit comments on topics that you'd like us to address in the future. And if you found this episode interesting or useful, please share with others. Take care until next time.